studied various aspects of nutrition in animal and plants. Let us now examine the digestive system of man in detail. How does it look? What are the related organs and their functions? The human body has openings. One of these is called the mouth, through which we eat food. Another one is called an anus, which is the opening through which undigested food material in the form of fecal matter is expelled out of the body. All organs from the mouth to the anus constitute the digestive system. The digestive system of man consists of the alimentary canal and associated glands. Alimentary canal begins with the mouth and ends with anus. It is about 9 meters in length. What are the organs of the digestive system? Mouth, that is mouth, lips, tongue and teeth. Esophagus or food pipe. Stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. Let us examine the parts of digestive system. Mouth. The mouth is lined by 2 lips. The lips are very sensitive to touch, heat and cold. The mouth opens into a cavity known as oral cavity or buccal cavity. Behind the oral cavity are 3 pairs of salivary glands. The process of taking food into the mouth is known as ingestion. What happens to the ingested food? We chew the food with our teeth and make it into smaller pieces. Do you know where are the teeth fitted? The teeth are rooted in sockets in the gums. How do we make the food that we eat into a paste? What are the structures in the mouth that help us in holding, tearing and munching? The oral cavity has 2 jaws. The jaws are bony structures having sockets. Embedded in the sockets are structures known as teeth. Are all teeth of the same shape, size, structure and function? Put your index finger and feel your teeth. See, they are of different types. How many types of teeth can you feel? There are 4 types of teeth in each jaw. 4 incisors, 2 canines, 4 premolars and 6 molars. There are a total of 16 teeth in each jaw. Thus, the total number of teeth in man is 16 in the lower jaw plus 16 in the upper jaw, which makes it 32 teeth. What is the function of each type of teeth? The teeth that you use to bite or cut or to hold tightly are the incisors. For tearing and piercing are the canines. The chewing and grinding is done by premolar and molars. Does a newborn baby have teeth? No. Teeth are formed as the baby grows up. But these teeth fall off after some years. The teeth formed during infancy are called milk teeth. Do you remember that your teeth have also fallen? Have they come back again? Yes, the milk teeth that are lost are replaced by permanent teeth. There are 20 milk teeth where the number of permanent teeth is 32. The number of teeth formed twice during lifetime of man are 20, while the number of teeth formed only once during the lifetime of man is 12. What other structure is found in the mouth? The tongue, of course. It is a fleshy muscular organ attached to the floor of the oral cavity at the back. What is the function of the tongue? The tongue is used for talking. There are taste buds present on the tongue which makes it sensitive to taste. These taste buds are present at different locations, each having a different sense of taste. The buds in front sense sweet, the buds on the sides sense salt and sour, and the taste buds at the back sense bitter tastes. Where does the oral cavity open? Behind the oral cavity is a chamber called pharynx. Pharynx is a common chamber for air and food channels. The air channel opens into the larynx. The food channel is continued into a long tube called esophagus. Salivary glands. The oral cavity also has 3 pairs of glands known as salivary glands. They are parotid, sublingual and submandibular. The parotid glands are located near the ear. The other 2 glands are present below the tongue. The salivary glands secrete saliva when food is present in the mouth. Even when food is not in mouth, saliva is produced at the sight, smell or thought of food. What does the saliva contain and what is its function? Saliva contains lot of water, small quantities of salts and mucus. It is alkaline in nature and acts as a solvent for dissolving chemical substances in the food. Saliva contains one enzyme termed ptyalin or amylase. Amylase digests starch in the food and breaks it down into dextrin and maltose sugars. The mucus makes the food soft and helps in easy passage of food through the food canal. Let us conduct an experiment to prove that saliva digests starch. Collect about 5 milliliters of saliva in a test tube. Now take a beaker with some water in it. Heat the water and prepare 200 milliliters of starch solution in a beaker. Take 10 milliliters of starch solution in a test tube and add 2 milliliters of 10 iodine solution to it so that the starch solution is now blue in color. Take 2 test tubes. Pour saliva into one test tube A and pour water in the other test tube B. Add 5 milliliters of blue colored starch solution to each test tube and place the test tubes in a test tube stand. Observe the changes in each test tube. You will find that the color of solution in test tube A changes color, whereas there is no change in the color in test tube B. You will observe that the solution in which saliva is present changes color, while color of the solution in which water has been added does not change. This is the best indication that starch has been digested by saliva. Esophagus and peristaltic movements. The food from the oral cavity enters the food pipe known as esophagus. The food is then pushed downwards into the stomach. The internal wall of esophagus is lined by a mucous membrane which secretes mucus. Swallowing of food is a voluntary action, that is, it is in the control of man. When food enters the esophagus, the passage of food is an involuntary action, That is, it is not under the control of man. The food passes through the esophagus by the action of muscles. A wave-like contraction and relaxation of muscles push the food in the stomach. The movement of food by wavy contraction and relaxation of muscles of esophagus is called the peristaltic movement. There are no enzymes present in the pharynx and esophagus, and the food does not undergo changes in these two structures. Stomach. Stomach is found in the upper part of abdominal cavity. The stomach is like a grinding machine which squeezes, twists and churns the food contents. It secretes hydrochloric acid, mucus and digestive juices. The acid makes the food acidic. The acid also kills bacteria and other microorganisms. The mucus makes the food slimy and protects the lining of stomach from the acid. Pepsin and lipase are the two enzymes produced in the stomach by the glands termed gastric glands. Pepsin breaks down proteins into peptones and proteases. Lipase converts fats into fatty acids and glycerol. In children, an enzyme called renin is also secreted. It helps in curdling of milk. The food is partially digested in the stomach. It is acidic and soft. This paste is called chyme. The main functions of the stomach are storing food temporarily, mixing various components in food thoroughly, and bringing about physical and chemical changes to the food. Duodenum, pyloric sphincter, liver, gallbladder, pancreas. The stomach opens into intestine. The intestine has two parts, the small intestine and the large intestine. The stomach opens into the first part of the small intestine called duodenum. Duodenum is a short, narrow U-shaped tube. The opening of stomach into duodenum is guarded by a muscular sphincter. This sphincter allows small balls of chyme to enter duodenum from stomach. Before examining the intestines, let us study the glands associated with the digestive system. These glands are salivary glands, liver and pancreas. Internally, the stomach and intestine also have gland cells which secrete a number of digestive juices. We have discussed the salivary glands while examining the buccal or oral cavity. Liver. Liver is dark brown in color. It has 4 lobes. It is present below the diaphragm on the right side in the abdominal cavity. On the undersurface of the liver, a tiny sac called gallbladder is present. The liver has cells called hepatocytes. These cells produce a juice called bile juice. The bile juice is stored in gallbladder and released into the duodenum through the common bile duct. The bile juice has no enzymes. It has 80% water, bile salts and bile pigments. The bile salts are sodium cholate and sodium deoxycholate. The pigments are bilirubin and biliviridin. Bile converts fats into microscopic colloidal particles. This is called emulsification of fats. Lipase can act on emulsified fats and convert them into fatty acids and glycerol. If the common bile duct is blocked, the bile gets mixed with blood and causes a disease called jaundice. In this condition, the eyes and skin become yellow. Pancreas is a multi-lobed gland present in between stomach and duodenum. It opens into the duodenum through the common bile duct. Thus, common bile duct carries both bile and pancreatic juice to duodenum. The common bile duct is formed by joining of pancreatic duct and the bile duct. Pancreas has two parts. One is exocrine and the other is endocrine. The secretions of exocrine duct pass through pancreatic duct and open into the common bile duct. The exocrine part secretes a juice called pancreatic juice. The pancreatic juice contains 4 enzymes secreted by the exocrine part of pancreas. They are trypsin, chymotrypsin, amylase and lipase. Trypsin and chymotrypsin are in inactive form and are termed trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen. They are made active by a group of enzymes called enterokinase, which is secreted by the glands present in the intestine. When some amount of trypsinogen is made into active trypsin, it converts the rest of trypsinogen into active trypsin. Such conversion is termed as autocatalysis. Trypsin partially hydrolyzes proteins and chymotrypsin hydrolyzes proteins to polypeptides. The second enzyme, amylase, breaks carbohydrates into dextrins and finally into maltose sugars. The third enzyme, lipase, breaks the emulsified fats into fatty acids and glycerol. The second part of pancreas, the endocrine part, has groups of cells termed islets of Langerhans. 2 hormones, insulin and glucagon, are secreted by these cells. They do not take part in digestion. The secretions of endocrine glands are directly poured into the bloodstream and have no ducts of their own. The small intestine is the longest tube in the alimentary canal. It is about 6 meters long and 3 centimeters in width. The small intestine can be divided into 3 regions. The anterior part near the stomach is duodenum. It is followed by the coiled jejunum and the distal part is termed as ileum. The middle part of intestine, called jejunum, is a highly coiled structure and is about 5 meters long. The intestinal glands produce a number of enzymes together called succus entericus. The final breakdown of the macromolecules to micromolecules takes place in jejunum. Let us list the digestive processes in intestine. The enzyme peptidase completes the protein digestion by converting peptides into amino acids. Lipase converts the fats into fatty acid and glycerol. The enzymes sucrose, maltase, lactase present in succus entericus hydrolyze into sucrose, maltose and lactose respectively, converting them into glucose. The enzyme nucleotidase and nucleosidase complete the digestion of nucleic acids. The end products of digestion of proteins are amino acids, carbohydrates is glucose, fats are fatty acids and glycerol. These end products are now absorbed by the intestine. How is the food absorbed in the small intestine? Internally, the small intestine is thrown into a number of folds called villi. The villi are covered by a single layer of epithelium and contain many blood capillaries. What is the importance of these villi? The villi increase the surface area of absorption. Ileum is the organ in which major part of digestion takes place. In between the villi are glandular pits having glands. These glands secrete digestive juices and pour them into the lumen of intestine. The end products of digestion, that is amino acids, glucose, fatty acids and glycerol, are absorbed by the blood present in the blood vessels of the small intestine. The large intestine is broader than small intestine. The food that enters large intestine may have some nutrients and water. These are absorbed by the large intestine and finally a soft fecus is formed. This fecal matter is pushed downwards into the rectum by peristaltic action of the muscles of large intestine. It is finally egested out through the anus, and this process of ejection is termed as defecation. Anus is kept closed by a ring of muscles called anal sphincter. It opens only during defecation or expulsion of fecal matter. Therefore, what are the different steps involved in the digestive process? There are mainly 4 events: digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. Digestion starts in the mouth and continues to small intestine. During digestion, the complex molecules are broken down into simple and small molecules. The simple molecules are absorbed in the small intestine, which is called absorption. What happens to the food that is absorbed? The blood carries these nutrients to different tissues in the body. They are utilized by the cells. The glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide and water, and the energy is released. The process of utilization of food to produce energy is known as assimilation. What happens to the undigested food? The undigested food enters the large intestine. In the large intestine, water and other useful materials are reabsorbed and the remaining waste material is removed in the form of semi-solid fecal matter through the anus. This is called egestion. Let's talk about hunger now. Are you hungry? When do you feel hunger? We feel hunger when our stomach is empty. It is interesting to note that it takes about 3 hours for the stomach to become empty after a full meal. Now you have a better understanding of the digestive system in its complete structure.